Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on the Swampland chunk, and as you can see I've started to mock up the surface of the chunk already. I've put in some of the key features, so the trees will go here, here and here, and the witch's hut will go in the corner over here. I want to make sure that it's a usable PvP space for players again at the block level, so that they can run around the outside and not feel like they're going to immediately fall off. So I want a little bit of space between the edge and the witch's hut, and the same for the trees and the lake. Eventually we're going to punch a hole down through here into the basement, and we're going to put a dungeon and maybe something in the upstairs as well. But for now we're going to jump straight in and start working on the witch's hut. Right, so normally the witch's hut is 7 blocks wide, 9 blocks long and 6 blocks high. But I think we can shrink that at least 1 block in each direction. So I'm going to start by bringing up these logs on the side and then putting in the base of the hut, which will go here. Normally this central area is 3 blocks wide in the vanilla witch's hut and sticks out the front like this. But we're only going to have a 2 wide one on our one. Next we need to put in the windows and think about where they'll fit, and then start some of the detailing. So I'm just going to check an image of an actual witch's hut and then come back to you. Okay, so I've picked out some of the blocks I think I'm going to need to build this, and we're going to start by bringing up the pillars on the side here by 1 more block. So we'll have a 2 high space on the inside and the roof will go on top here. So let's pop that in now. And once we've done this, we need to think about the windows, which will go in here, something like this. And the front of the hut has these fences in, like this. I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep these 2 blocks here. I think that's more in keeping with what it would actually look like in vanilla, because normally it's 3 blocks wide like this and 5 across the back and sticks out a little bit. But I actually think having a bit more space here and then maybe allowing a player to put a block down and jump up is probably better if they want to get the stuff that's inside the hut. So I'll maybe leave it like this. Next thing we need to do is go ahead and put down our cauldron and workbench on the inside, and then we've got to add in some detailing with mushrooms, which I'll have to do with MC Edit or World Edit off camera. So I'm going to pop in our roof overhang now, I guess, which uses these stairs. So we'll copy that all the way around here, nice and easy. And I think there we've got the basis of our witch's hut. We'll obviously add in some detailing with, you know, mushrooms here, something in the window, the little plant pot, and probably a bit more detailing here actually for the entrance, so something like that to represent the window at the normal of a normal front of a witch's hut rather. Cool. Okay, I'll have a think about the rest of it now, bring in some of the trees, and then we'll start to work on the basement and the rest of the chunk. Okay, so here it is. I've tweaked the layout just a little bit. I've made the lake slightly larger, added in a little bit more sand, pushed it out that way as well underneath the witch's hut so that both the pillars can be touching the water. I like this effect with the sort of stanchions being in there underneath, and you can walk in here as well if you wanted to. That's quite a nice touch. We've got the base to think about soon, and then I've popped in some reeds as well along with these trees and the vines, and that's a pretty good start. I've also finished off the hut here, so you can see I've put in some little detailing with the fence and the pots, and the inside looks as we left it before. And I have left off these 2 planks here. I think with them in it just constricts this space a bit too much, and I think a player is going to want to put a block down here to jump up and look inside, and I think that's fine. We might have a chest in here with some resources in anyway, so I think that's a good thing to just leave that space there. We'll do that at the end, but now I'll move on to the next stage and start thinking about the downstairs. So I'll copy this again over here, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Right, so I've just copied across this to here, and I've hollowed out the basement now. So if we go in the side here, you can see I've just taken out the stone using World Edit and created a nice big open space in here. We've got the column of water now coming down in about the middle of the chunk. It is offset slightly because I want space to put a dungeon in over here with some mossy cobble. And then I want a path on the basement level here that runs around the outside and then opens up into that dungeon. And here's our dungeon. I've just marked off the edge of it, where I think it will probably go, popped in some obsidian just to represent the spawner for now, and then put these 2 chests in, which will hold some resources and loot. So we'll put some stuff in here for the players before we go live with the map. I've also created the second tier, so I've used World Edit again just to put in some stone, as we've got an upstairs and a downstairs now. The next step I'm going to take is fill all this in with stone and mark off the path. So I'm probably going to have a path that does something like this. So the player will drop down out of the waterfall into the basement, and then go around the basement of the chunk like this, and then into the dungeon. So maybe we'll have the entrance here or here. We might move these chests around, just close that up. But basically they're going to walk around the outside. A more savvy player, or somebody maybe who's played the map before, might realise that there's something through the wall, so they would just dig through here and straight into the dungeon. And I think that's okay to have a shortcut in there as well. So I'll go ahead and make those changes, and then we'll come back and we'll look at the path around the outside and see how that feels. Right then, here's the start of our path. We've just dropped down the water, you can see that up there. And then obviously these torches won't be here. The player would run down into this space, run around the outside, again torches won't be here, and then into the dungeon. And it's a nice little space. Moved it around a little bit, and I've now popped the spawner in as well, and some suggested resources in the chest. Some little stuff, some loot for players here. And I think that looks quite nice. You've got a natural feel to the sort of cave at the top as well. Little bit of gravel if they feel like they need to grind some flints, make a flint and steel, or get some arrows, they can do that. And then if a player knows the shortcut, they could perhaps just knock through the wall here and come into the dungeon this way, and that's fine too. Okay, next I'm going to work on the tier above. I'll make sure that space is laid out, and then we'll come back and look at it together. Okay, so here's the last big job we need to do on this chunk. We've got to fill in this second tier. So I've made a copy of the old one, brought it over. You can see our friendly neighbourhood witch here, you'll meet her in game. I've punched through the sides of the chunk here just to create a little bit more light, and I've started to lay out the internals. So I've brought the tree roots down again, similar to how we did in the jungle temple, but I've made them a lot more vertical this time, so there's less winding. And I like that because that's how it looks in a mangrove swamp, and that's the look I'm going for here, to blend the natural vanilla swamp environment with something from the real world. I've popped in a little bit of dirt as well, and I want to try and incorporate the water from the middle into a feature in the second tier as well. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet, but maybe try and create a pool around here that players can walk into and then out into this space. I've also got sand here, so you can see from the top here there's a little sandbank, and I've dragged that down into the basement there. And we'll go ahead and we'll create more of a feature of this, so it looks like sand has sort of collapsed from the surface into the basement here. I'm going to go and make a few more edits now, try and finish up this area, and then we'll come back and look at it together. And here we have it. This is the final draft of the Swampland chunk before I put it into the arena. Obviously I need to fix the detailing on the sides, add in a bit more dirt and some ores to make it look like it's been plucked from the ground. But I'm really pleased with how the process has gone. Let's jump in and take a tour of that second tier that I was finishing up. So you drop down into the middle here, the water currents will push you out, and you come into this area here. It's got a nice bit of dirt, a little bit of grass detailing, the tree roots come down, got some stone in, and then I've managed to incorporate the water feature and have the water flow into the second tier, which is nice. And we've also got a little pool of water here. The torches will obviously go in the final version, and I'll need to put a chest somewhere, maybe over here or on this side with a few resources in. There's also kind of a little secret entrance here alongside this tree, so we can pop up that and we come out here. But that's it. If you've got any feedback on the process or the video or anything you've seen so far, let me know in the comments below. But until next time, bye bye and thanks for watching.